5,000 elite alien soldiers invaded Earth, and were crushed to death in 30 seconds without a single human firing a shot. I am not going to sugarcoat this for you. Commander Vextel was an idiot. A confident, decorated, absolutely convinced of his own brilliance idiot, and I say this with the full weight of historical evidence. 3 military tribunals and the 17,000 casualties that followed his decisions. But let us back up a moment, shall we? The Calthrine Armada dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of what the locals called the Sol system on a bright, unremarkable Tuesday morning. Well, morning for Earth. In space, time is more of a suggestion than a rule, but you understand the point. 53 warships, each one bristling with plasma cannons, quantum disruptors, and enough firepower to glass a small moon. Vexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Talon, with his forearms crossed in what he probably thought was an intimidating pose. Spoiler alert, it was not. Another primitive world, he announced, to his bridge crew, his voice dripping with the kind of bored superiority that comes from conquering 47 star systems without breaking a sweat. Scan complete. His second in command, a nervous fellow named Recklin, who had the survival instincts Vextor clearly lacked, checked his console. Yes, Commander. The third planet appears to be the primary inhabited world. They call it Earth. Technology level is laughably primitive. No plasma shielding, no quantum drives. They still use chemical propulsion for basic spaceflight. Honestly, sir, I am amazed they have not blown themselves up yet. Vextelvor's mandibles clicked together in what passed for a Calthrine smile. Oh, how I wish I could go back in time and slap that expression off his face. Perfect. Just perfect. How many worlds does this make for us now? With Earth it will be 48, sir, Recklin replied, pulling up the tactical display. The blue-green planet rotated slowly on the view screen, looking absolutely gorgeous and completely harmless. White clouds swirled across its surface. Oceans gleamed. It looked like a paradise, really, a soft, wet, welcoming paradise just waiting to be conquered. What a lie that turned out to be. Vextelvor uncrossed his arms and leaned forward, studying the planet with the intensity of a predator examining wounded prey. Atmospheric composition, oxygen-nitrogen mixer. High oxygen content actually. 21%. Very breathable for us. Gravity readings show. Recklin paused, his antenna twitching slightly. Gravity is reading at 9.8 meters per second squared. And that means what exactly, for those of us who do not speak science? Vextelwer asked, waving one hand dismissively. Recklin hesitated. That hesitation, that tiny moment of uncertainty, should have been a warning, should have been a massive, blaring, impossible to ignore alarm bell. But Vextel was too busy being confident to notice. It means the gravity is stronger than most worlds we have encountered, sir. Significantly stronger than our home world. How much stronger? Approximately 2.8 times stronger, Commander. There was a pause. A long, meaningful pause that everyone on that bridge should have paid attention to. But Vextelvorn just laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoed across the command deck like the universe's worst joke. Our soldiers are the finest warriors in 12 sectors, Recklin. I think they can handle a little extra weight. Besides, look at the inhabitants. The view screen shifted to show intercepted broadcasts from Earth's surface. Humans. Soft, squishy, fragile-looking humans going about their daily lives. Walking their animals. Driving their primitive vehicles. Playing their bizarre games. They looked pathetically weak. No exoskeleton, no natural armor plating. No claws or fangs or defensive spines, just soft skin and vulnerable organs wrapped in colorful fabric. They look like they would pop if you squeezed them too hard, Vextelvar observed. And his bridge crew chittered in agreement. Prepare the invasion force, full assault. I want boots on the ground within the hour. This will be the easiest conquest in Calthrine history. Recklin opened his mouth as if to protest, then closed it again. Self-preservation, you see. Arguing with Vexavor was a career-ending move. And Recklin liked his career, so instead he simply nodded and began relaying orders to the fleet. The invasion force assembled in the lower hangar bays, 5,000 of the Calthrine Empire's finest shock troops, each one a veteran of multiple campaigns. They strapped on their combat armor, checked their plasma rifles, and boarded the assault carriers with the casual confidence of soldiers who had done this dozens of times before. To them, this was just another day at the office, another weak species, another easy victory. Commander Vextelor watched the preparations from his command throne, a satisfied expression on his alien face. In his mind he was already composing the triumphant report he would send back to the Calthrine High Command. He imagined the medals, the promotions, the glory. What he should have been imagining was the medical bay, and the body bags. So many body bags. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. The assault carriers launched from the Crimson Talon's hangar bays, engines burning bright as they descended toward Earth's atmosphere. 50 carriers, each packed with 100 soldiers, screaming toward the planet's surface in tight formation. Vexthar leaned back in his throne and allowed himself a moment of pure, unadulterated confidence. 48 systems. After today, it would be 48 systems under Calthrine control. Not bad for a career, really. Sir, Recklin said quietly from his station, the assault force is entering the atmosphere now. Landing zone is confirmed. A relatively isolated area the humans call Nevada. Minimal population density. Minimal resistance expected. Excellent, Vextor purred. Let us show these primitives what real power looks like. Oh, Commander. If only you knew. If only you had the slightest clue what was about to happen. But you did not. None of them did. And that, my friends, is where our story truly begins, with 50 assault carriers full of confident doomed soldiers plunging toward a planet that was about to teach the Calthrine Empire the most painful lesson in its entire history. Gravity, as it turns out, does not care about your confidence. It does not care about your combat experience. It does not care about your plasma rifles or your tactical superiority, or your 47 conquered systems. Gravity just is. And on Earth, gravity is absolutely merciless. The first carrier touched down in the Nevada desert at approximately 1400 hours local time. The landing was textbook perfect. Thrusters fired. Stabilizers engaged. The craft settled onto the sandy ground with barely a shudder. Inside, squad leader Thalrix stood at the front of the deployment bay, his plasma rifle held ready, his 3 eyes scanning the tactical display built into his helmet. All right, soldiers. He barked into the comm system. Standard deployment. Secure the perimeter. Establish defensive positions. Show these primitives what Calthrine's superiority looks like. On my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The deployment ramp dropped with a hydraulic hiss. Bright sunlight flooded into the carrier. Thalrix took his first step onto Earth soil and immediately knew something was catastrophically, horrifyingly wrong. His leg buckled, not bent, not strained, buckled. The reinforced exoskeleton around his knee joint, designed to withstand direct plasma fire, crumpled like paper. He heard the crack before he felt it. A sound like a tree branch snapping. Except the tree branch was his femur. Both of them. Actually, the pain hit him half a second later, white-hot agony that made his vision blur. Thalrix opened his mouth to scream and discovered he could not draw enough breath. His lungs, his beautiful, efficient Calthrine lungs, were being compressed by his own ribcage. The weight. Oh, ancestors preserve us, the weight. It felt like someone had parked a cargo hauler on his chest. His spine curved under pressure it was never ever designed to handle. He collapsed face first onto the ramp. Behind him, 99 other soldiers took their first steps and immediately joined him in a chorus of breaking bones and agonized screaming. The entire squad went down like dominoes. Exoskeletons shattered. Armor plating cracked. Bodies that had survived plasma fire and explosive decompression were simply crushed by the unrelenting, merciless force of Earth's gravity. Up on the Crimson Talon, Commander Vextar watched his tactical display with growing confusion, then horror, then absolute panic. What is happening down there? Recklin, give me a visual. The main view screen flickered to life, showing the feed from Thalex's helmet camera. The image was sideways angled toward the ground, because Thalex was lying on his side, unable to move, watching his own blood pool on the metal ramp. Dark blue Calthrine blood, so much of it. Commander, Thalrix gasped into his comm, each word a monumental effort. Cannot move. Gravity, crushing us. Bones, breaking. Need, extraction. Now. Vexter stared at the screen in disbelief. You are elite soldiers. You have fought in zero-gravity combat. You have survived atmospheric entry failures. You are telling me you cannot handle a little extra weight? A little? Thalrix's laugh was wet, painful. Sir, with respect, this planet is trying to flatten us into paste. My entire squad is down. We cannot stand. We cannot crawl. We can barely breathe. This is not a combat situation. This is an execution. Across the landing zone, 49 other carriers had touched down. 49 other deployment ramps had dropped, and 49 other squads were experiencing the exact same catastrophic failure. 5,000 soldiers, the pride of the Calthrine military, reduced to broken, whimpering casualties in less than 30 seconds. No shots fired, no combat engaged, just gravity. Simple, straightforward, absolutely devastating gravity. Private Jexanara, who had survived the siege of Kelvin Prime and earned 4 Valor medals, lay on her back staring at Earth's impossibly blue sky. She tried to lift her arm, tried with every ounce of strength she possessed. Her arm moved approximately 3 centimeters before the muscles tore. She felt her shoulder joint dislocate. The pain was extraordinary, educational even. She was learning in excruciating detail exactly how many ways a body could break under pressure. "This cannot be real," she whispered into her helmet comm. "This cannot be happening. We are being crushed by nothing, by air, by empty space. How do the humans live here? How do they survive?" That, my friends, was the question of the hour. How did humans survive on this death trap of a planet? Back on the Crimson Talon, Reckling was frantically pulling up data. "Commander, I am reading massive structural failures across the entire landing force. Exoskeleton integrity is compromised. I am detecting bone fractures in 98% of deployed soldiers. This is a complete disaster, sir." Vextor's mandibles trembled. How is this possible? The gravity readings were in the reports. "Yes, sir, but we have never encountered a species that evolved in gravity this strong. Our biology, our skeletal structure, our entire physiology developed on a world with 0.35 standard gravities. Earth has 1 full standard gravity. For us, that is nearly 3 times what our bodies can handle. We are not built for this, Commander. We are simply not built for this." On the ground, Thalrix watched through failing vision as his soldiers tried desperately to retreat back into the carriers. Tried and failed. Those closest to the ramp managed to drag themselves a meter, maybe 2, before their bodies gave out completely. One soldier, Kexval, actually managed to grab the edge of the ramp and pull himself halfway up before his arms literally separated from his shoulder joints. The screaming. "Oh, the screaming will haunt my people's military academies for generations." "Abort," Vextau finally said, his voice hollow. "Abort the landing. Get them back to the ships. Medical teams to stand by. All carriers. Immediate extraction. Now." But here is the thing about immediate extraction on a high-gravity world when your soldiers cannot move. It is not immediate. It is not even slow. It is almost impossible. The carrier pilots tried to lower emergency grav sleds, tried to deploy automated retrieval systems, but every piece of equipment they sent down was designed for normal Calthrine gravity. On Earth, the grav sleds could barely hover. The retrieval drones crashed within seconds. Thalrix lay on that ramp for 45 minutes before help arrived. 45 minutes of listening to his soldiers cry. 45 minutes of feeling his organs slowly compress. 45 minutes of understanding, with perfect clarity, that the Calthrine Empire had just attempted to invade a planet that was fundamentally, completely, utterly beyond their ability to conquer. Not because the humans were fierce, not because their technology was superior, not because of tactics or strategy or military might, simply because their planet was heavy. So unbelievably, impossibly heavy. And somewhere in the distance, Thalrix heard something that made his blood run even colder. Engines. Human engines. Ground vehicles approaching the landing zone at high speed. The natives were coming to investigate. The soft, fragile, weak-looking natives who somehow, impossibly lived their entire lives in this crushing nightmare. Thalrix closed his eyes and prayed to ancestors he was not sure he believed in anymore. This was going to get so much worse before it got better. The bridge of the Crimson Talon had descended into absolute chaos. Officers were shouting over each other. Alarms blared from every console. Medical reports streamed in faster than anyone could read them. And Commander Vextor, the great conqueror of 47 systems, stood frozen in the middle of it all, watching his career collapse in real time. "Get me Kelmara," he roared, finally finding his voice. "Where is my science officer? I need answers now." Kelmara burst onto the bridge 3 seconds later, her data tablet clutched in her trembling hands. She was young for a science officer, brilliant but untested in real combat situations. Right now she looked like she wanted to be anywhere else in the galaxy. "Commander, I have run the calculations 4 times. 4 times. The numbers do not lie." "Then explain to me how 5,000 soldiers are being killed by standing still." Vextor grabbed the tablet from her hands, staring at the data as if glaring at it hard enough would make it change. It did not change. Numbers are stubborn that way. Kalmara took a shaky breath. Sir, our homeworld Kalth has a gravitational acceleration of 3.4 meters per second squared. We evolved there. Our bones, our muscles, our entire cardiovascular system developed to function optimally in that environment. Earth has 9.8 meters per second squared. That is 2.88 times stronger. I know basic math, Kalmara. Then you understand the problem, sir. Our soldiers are not just carrying extra weight. Their organs are being compressed. Their blood is pooling in their lower extremities because their hearts cannot pump effectively against that gravitational force. Their spines are compressing under loads they were never designed to bear. Standing upright on Earth is like carrying 3 times your body weight on our home world. Every single second. Recklin pulled up a comparison chart on the main view screen. It showed a Calthrine soldier next to a human, both with their skeletal structures highlighted. Look at the bone density difference, Commander. Human bones are nearly twice as dense as ours. Their muscle mass is substantially higher. Their hearts are larger and more powerful. They are built for this gravity. We are not. We are fundamentally incompatible with this planet. Vexthor stared at the comparison, his mind refusing to accept what his eyes were seeing. But they look so soft, so weak. How can they be stronger than us? Because strength is relative, sir. Kelmara's voice cracked slightly. She was clearly terrified of contradicting her commander, but the scientist in her could not stay silent. A human child playing on Earth is experiencing more gravitational stress than our elite warriors experience during combat training. They live their entire lives in conditions that would hospitalize our best athlete. Every step they take, every movement they make, they are fighting against a force that is killing our soldiers right now. The medical reports continued scrolling across the secondary screens. Fractured vertebrae, crushed organs, cardiac arrest, respiratory failure. The list went on and on. Out of 5,000 deployed soldiers, 4,937 were reporting critical injuries. The remaining 63 were merely severely injured. Not a single soldier was combat capable. Not one. Emergency extraction. Vexthor ordered, his voice hoarse. All carriers pull back. Leave no one behind. Sir, one of the flight officers called out, his antenna drooping in distress. The carriers are reporting problems. The pilots can function because they stayed in the ships, but retrieving the soldiers is proving difficult. Many of them cannot move at all. They are too injured to drag themselves back aboard. Kelmara pulled up video feeds from the surface. The images were nightmarish. Calthrine soldiers sprawled across the desert sand like broken toys. Some tried to crawl toward their ships, making maybe half a meter before collapsing. Others just lay there waiting for help that was painfully slow to arrive. Their armor, their pride, their advanced technology, all of it was useless. Completely, utterly useless. How long do they have? Vexthor asked quietly. Kelmara consulted her tablet. In that gravity, with their injuries, our medical AI estimates most will experience complete organ failure within 2 hours, maybe less. The crushing pressure on their internal organs is relentless, Commander. Every second they spend on that surface they are dying. 2 hours, Vexthor repeated numbly. We have 2 hours to rescue 5,000 soldiers who cannot move from a planet that is actively killing them. Less than 2 hours now, sir. Recklin corrected grimly. They have been down there for 16 minutes already. The bridge fell silent except for the constant ping of incoming casualty reports. Vextelvor looked around at his crew, seeing his own horror reflected in their faces. This was supposed to be easy. This was supposed to be conquest number 48. A simple operation. A routine invasion. Instead, they had just learned the most expensive lesson in Calthrine military history. Some planets do not need weapons to defend themselves. Some planets do not need armies or fleets or sophisticated defense systems. Some planets are weapons. The entire planet, the ground itself, the very air and space that the inhabitants move through every single day without even thinking about it. Earth was not just inhabited by humans. Earth was a partner to humans, a forge that had shaped them, strengthened them, made them into beings who could casually survive in conditions that crushed Calthrine warriors like insects. Sir, the communications officer spoke up, his voice tight with fresh panic. We are detecting human military vehicles approaching the landing zones. Multiple convoys. They are moving fast. Really fast, considering the gravity. Vextel felt his stomach drop even further. Of course the humans were coming. Why would they not? From their perspective, alien ships had just landed in their territory. ships full of invaders who were now lying helpless on the ground. How long until they arrive? Vexter asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. Fastest convoy will reach landing zone 7 in approximately 4 minutes, Commander. 4 minutes. They had 4 minutes before Earth's native inhabitants, the beings who treated this crushing death trap as home, arrived to find 5,000 crippled alien soldiers scattered across their desert. Vexthor sank into his command throne, feeling older than he had ever felt in his entire life. Pritpol medical bays. Every single one. And somebody get me a direct line to High Command. They need to know what happened here. What happened here? As if that phrase could possibly encompass the sheer magnitude of this disaster. As if words could describe the moment the Calthrine Empire learned that the universe contained beings who were so absurdly impossibly tough that their planet alone was enough to destroy an invasion force. On the view screen, the first human vehicles appeared in the distance, kicking up clouds of dust as they raced across the desert. And Vexthor realized with perfect terrible clarity that the worst part was yet to come. The first human to arrive at Landing Zone 7 was Captain Jackson Torres of the United States Air Force, and he was having the strangest day of his entire career. He pulled his Humvee to a stop about 50 meters from the nearest alien craft, killed the engine, and just sat there for a moment staring. Control. This is Torres. I am at the site, and I am going to need you to confirm what I am seeing here because this is genuinely insane. The radio crackled. Go ahead, Torres. What is your situation? Well, ma'am, there are definitely alien spacecraft. About a dozen of them in my immediate vicinity. But the aliens themselves they are just lying on the ground. All of them. They are not attacking. They are not moving. They are just lying there. Some of them are twitching. I think they might be hurt. Up on the Crimson Talon, Vexthor watched through the helmet camera of the nearest conscious soldier. He watched this human, this Captain Torres, open his vehicle door and step out onto the sand. Step out. Casually. Like it was nothing. Like he was not moving through a gravitational field that had just destroyed an entire invasion force. Torres stretched. Actually stretched. Reached his arms over his head and rolled his shoulders like he was working out a kink from a long drive. Vexthor felt his 3 stomachs churn. Commander, Kelmara whispered from her station, her voice filled with awe and terror. He is moving normally. Look at him. He is completely unaffected by the gravity. His posture is relaxed. His breathing is steady. He is not even straining. Another vehicle arrived, this one carrying Sergeant Rebecca Flynn and a medical team. Flynn hopped out of the transport. Hopped. Her boots hit the ground and she landed in a crouch, absorbing the impact with her legs, then stood up smoothly. She was wearing full combat gear, maybe 30 kilograms of equipment, and she moved like it weighed nothing at all. Torres, what have we got? Flynn called out, jogging over to join him. Jogging. This human was jogging for fun while Calthrine soldiers were being crushed to death 20 meters away. Vexthor made a sound that no commander should ever make. A sort of strangled whimper. Torres pointed toward the nearest carrier. Aliens. Lots of them. They all seem to be injured or incapacitated. I have not seen a single one standing. Actually, wait. He squinted. I have not seen a single one even sitting up. They are all flat on the ground. Flynn pulled out her binoculars and scanned the area. From her elevated position, standing upright like it was the easiest thing in the galaxy, she could see dozens of Calthrine soldiers sprawled across the landing zone. Are they dead? Negative. I can see some of them moving, breathing, I think, but they are definitely not okay. Torres started walking toward the nearest cluster of aliens, his stride easy and confident. Control. Requesting medical support and xenobiologists. We have got what looks like mass casualties here, but I have no idea what we are dealing with. Copy that, Torres. Support is en route. Do not approach the aliens until we know they are not hostile. Torres stopped walking and raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, with respect, I do not think these guys are in any condition to be hostile. Most of them cannot even lift their heads. Private Jacksinara, lying on her back with 3 broken ribs and a shattered pelvis, watched through tear-blurred vision as the human approached. He was huge, not in the way Calthrine were huge. All gangly limbs and elongated torsos. This human was compact, dense, solid. His muscles moved under his skin with terrifying efficiency. Each step he took, normal for him, would have shattered her legs if she tried to replicate it. He crouched down next to her. Crouched. Just bent his legs and lowered himself to the ground like gravity was a suggestion rather than a law of physics. His face appeared above hers and she saw concern in his expression. Concern, not aggression, not fear. He looked at her the way someone might look at an injured animal. "Hey there," Torres said softly. Though of course Jacksonara did not understand English. "Can you understand me? Do you need help?" Jacksonara tried to speak, managed a weak gurgle. Blood bubbled at the corner of her mouth. Torres pulled out a radio. "Yeah. Control. These aliens are in really bad shape. I think they are dying. Whatever happened here, it was not combat. There is no weapon damage I can see. No blast marks. No burns. They just all seem to have collapsed." Flynn joined him, kneeling beside another alien soldier. "Torres, look at this. Their armor is cracked, but not from weapons fire. It is cracked from the inside out, like something pushed outward on it, or maybe like it was compressed." "Compressed by what?" Flynn looked around at the desert, at the perfectly normal Earth afternoon, at the sky and the ground and the utterly mundane environment. "I have no idea. But whatever did this, it happened to all of them at once." On the Crimson Talon, Kelmara was frantically taking notes. "Commander, are you seeing this? The humans are not just surviving the gravity, they are thriving in it. Look at their movements. Efficient, powerful. Every motion they make would require enormous strength on our homeworld. But here, they do it without thinking. It is as natural to them as breathing." Vex Thor watched as Torres stood up, just stood up from a crouch using only his leg muscles, in nearly 3 times Calthrine normal gravity. The human rose smoothly, effortlessly, like he was filled with hydraulics. Then he turned and jogged, actually jogged, back to his vehicle to retrieve medical supplies. "He is playing," Vex Thor said hollowly. "That motion, that bounce in his step. He is enjoying himself. He thinks this is fun." "Not fun, sir," Recklin corrected quietly. "Normal. This is normal for him. He has done this his entire life. Every human on that planet has. They are born into this gravity. They grow up in it. They play in it as children. What is killing our soldiers in minutes is just another day for them." More human vehicles arrived. Dozens of them. Soldiers poured out, all of them moving with that same terrifying ease. They spread out across the landing zone, approaching the downed Calthrine with a mixture of curiosity and concern. One human, a young woman who could not have weighed more than 60 kilograms, picked up a fallen plasma rifle. She turned it over in her hands, examining it, holding it one-handed. That rifle weighed 18 kilograms. On Earth's gravity, that meant it effectively weighed over 50 kilograms. She held it one-handed, like it was a Flynn organized the human soldiers into teams. "All right, people. Treat this like a mass casualty event. These beings are clearly in distress. Move carefully. Be gentle. We do not know their physiology, so do not make assumptions. Johnson, get on the horn with NASA. Tell them we need xenobiologists yesterday. Martinez, start documenting everything. Photos, videos, the works. And somebody figure out how to communicate with them, because we need to know what happened here." Torres returned with a medical kit and knelt beside Jacksonara again. He carefully, gently checked her vital signs with equipment that was designed for humans and probably completely useless for Calthrine physiology. But the gesture, the intention was clear. He was trying to help. Jacksonara stared up at him, at this monster wearing a concerned expression, and felt something she had never experienced in 15 years of military service. Absolute, complete, existential terror. Not because the human was threatening her, but because she finally understood what Earth was. What humans were. They were the apex predators of a high-gravity death world. They were beings forged in a crucible that killed Calthrine warriors just by existing. They were impossibly, absurdly, ridiculously strong, and they did not even know it because to them this was normal. This was just home. Torres smiled at her, probably meant it to be reassuring. To Jacksonara, it looked like a predator baring its teeth. "Hang in there, buddy," Torres said, patting her shoulder with what he probably thought was a light touch. Jacksonara's clavicle fractured. Torres yanked his hand back, eyes wide. "Oh no. Oh no no no. Control, we have a problem. These aliens are really fragile. I barely touched this one and I think I hurt it worse." And that, right there, was the moment the entire bridge crew of the Crimson Talon understood the full scope of their nightmare. The humans were not just strong. The humans were so strong that they could accidentally injure Calthrine soldiers while trying to help them. Vex Thor put his face in all 4 of his hands. This was going to be a very long day. The rescue operation, if you could call it that, began approximately 30 minutes after the humans arrived. By then, Word had spread through every level of human military command, and apparently someone had made the brilliant decision to allow embedded journalists onto the scene. Journalists, with cameras, because of course they did. Vextal watched through multiple helmet feeds as more humans arrived. These ones carrying not weapons but recording equipment. They fanned out across the landing zone, documenting everything. The broken Calthrine soldiers, the intact but useless weapons scattered across the sand, the mighty warships that had delivered an invasion force and received back only casualties. Commander Recklin said, his voice barely above a whisper. They are taking pictures. The humans are taking pictures of our soldiers. I can see that, Recklin. I have eyes. 4 of them, in fact. And right now I wish I could close all of them permanently. Down on the surface, Sergeant Flynn had organized her squad into retrieval teams. She stood over squad leader Thalerix, hands on her hips, assessing the situation with the practiced eye of someone who had handled plenty of complicated extractions. Thalerix stared up at her, wheezing, bleeding, absolutely certain he was about to die. Okay, Flynn said to her team. These guys need to get back to their ships, but we cannot just drag them. They are too injured. We are going to have to carry them. She paused, looking down at Thalerix's sprawled form. How much do you think this one weighs? Maybe 40 kilos, one of her soldiers guessed. 50 tops. They are pretty spindly. Flynn nodded, then bent down and scooped Thalerix up in both arms. Just like that, she lifted a fully armored Calthrine squad leader like he was a sleeping child. Thalerix gasped in pain and shock, his broken legs dangling uselessly. Sorry, Flynn said, adjusting her grip. I know this probably hurts, but we need to get you to your ship. Which one is yours? Can you point? Thalerix could not point, could not speak, could barely process what was happening. This human, this single human lodger, was carrying him, and walking with him like he weighed nothing. She was not straining, was not struggling. She was just walking casually across the desert, chatting with her squad mates, holding a full-grown Calthrine warrior in her arm. The humiliation was worse than the pain, and the pain was extraordinary. Hey Garcia, Flynn called to another soldier. Grab that one over there. Let us start moving these guys back to their ships before they get worse. Garcia jogged over to Private Jexinara and paused. Sarge, this one is in really bad shape. I am afraid to move her. Then move her very carefully. But she cannot stay out here in the sun. Go. Garcia, showing remarkable gentleness for someone who could probably bench press a small car, slid his arms under Jexnara, and lifted. She moaned in agony. I know, Garcia murmured. We are trying to help. Just hang on. Across the landing zone, this scene repeated itself dozens of times. Human soldiers, each one impossibly strong by Calthrine standards, picking up alien warriors and carrying them like fragile cargo. Some soldiers carried one alien. Some carried 2, one tucked under each arm. One exceptionally large human, a man the others called Rodriguez, managed to carry 3 at once, though his sergeant yelled at him to stop showing off. This is amazing, one of the journalists was saying into her camera, walking alongside Flynn. These alien beings appear to have suffered some kind of catastrophic medical emergency upon landing. The U.S. military is currently engaged in humanitarian rescue operations, though the nature of the aliens' condition remains unclear. Torres had made it back to one of the carriers and was attempting to communicate with the pilot. Hey, can you understand me? Your people are hurt. We are bringing them back. Can you open the cargo bay wider? We need more space to bring them in. The pilot, one of the few Calthrine who had not left his ship and was therefore still functional, stared at Torres through the cockpit window, stared at this human who stood upright in the killing gravity, who breathed easily in the death trap atmosphere, who was trying to help despite the fact that the Calthrine had come here to conquer his planet. The pilot hit the cargo bay controls. The ramp extended fully. Thank you. Torres gave him a thumbs up, a gesture that meant nothing to the Calthrine but seemed friendly enough. Then Torres turned and actually jogged back down the ramp, in full gear, at a jog, in gravity that had crippled 5,000 soldiers. The pilot closed all 3 of his eyes and prayed for this nightmare to end. Flynn carried Thelrix up the ramp and into the carrier, looking around for somewhere to set him down. Where do you want him? Do you have medical facilities? A med bay? She spotted what looked like crew bunks and gently laid Thelrix on one. There you go. You are going to be okay. Probably, maybe. I honestly have no idea what is wrong with you guys, but help is coming. She patted his shoulder, gently this time, having learned from Torres's mistake. Then she turned and jogged back down the ramp to get another one. Felix lay there, staring at the ceiling of his own ship, listening to the sounds of human soldiers bringing his squad back one by one. Each soldier carried in like luggage, like cargo, like helpless broken useless weights. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, he could hear the humans talking to each other. Their tone was not cruel. They were not mocking. They were concerned, confused, trying genuinely to help. Some were even laughing, but not at the Calthrine. They were laughing at the absurdity of the situation, at the weirdness of alien first contact happening like this. "Dude, this is so weird," one soldier was saying. "Like they came in warships. Look at these things. These are definitely weapons. But then they all just fell down. Maybe their gravity generators failed?" Another suggested. "Like maybe they are used to low gravity and something broke? That would explain why they all look so fragile. Man, imagine living your whole life in low gravity and then coming here. That would suck." They were figuring it out, in real time, with no scientific equipment, just observation and common sense. The humans were understanding what had happened while simultaneously rescuing their would-be invaders. On the Crimson Talon, Vexthor watched it all unfold across multiple video feeds. He watched Flynn pick up another soldier, this time using just one arm because she needed her other hand free to help guide injured aliens toward their ships. One arm. She carried a Calthrine warrior in one arm like a bag of supplies. "Sir," Gelmara said quietly, "Medical is asking for permission to accept human assistance. Their rescue operations are actually helping. Our casualty projections are improving because they are getting our soldiers out of the gravity faster than we could on our own." "Accept their help," Vexthor said flatly. What else could he say? "No, let our soldiers die on principle. Also, sir, High Command is on the secure channel. They are asking for a full report." Vexthor closed his eyes. "All four of them. Tell High Command that the invasion of Earth has been cancelled, permanently. And tell them why. Tell them every humiliating detail. They need to know." Down on the surface, Torres was helping load the last few soldiers into their carrier when his radio crackled. "Torres, this is Control. What is the situation with the alien craft? Are they preparing to depart?" Torres glanced at the nearest ship. "They are still on the ground, ma'am. I think they are waiting to make sure all their people are recovered first. These guys might be invaders, but they are not abandoning their wounded. I will give them that." "Understood. Continue recovery operations." "And Torres?" "Yes, ma'am. Good work out there. First contact could have gone a lot worse." Torres looked around at the 50 alien warships, the 5,000 injured aliens, and the bizarre situation that was definitely going into history books. "Yeah," he said slowly. "I guess it could have, though I am not sure how much worse it could have gone for them." He was not wrong. In the carrier, Thulorix listened to his soldiers being brought back one by one, listened to their moans of pain, listened to the gentle, concerned voices of the humans who were saving them, and he understood, with perfect clarity, that the Calthrine Empire had just made first contact with a species that was so incomprehensibly powerful that they could defeat an invasion force with nothing but geography. The humans had not fired a single shot. They had not needed to. Earth itself had done all the work. Vexed, Thor recorded his report to the Calthrine High Command from Medical Bay 3, lying flat on a specialized support frame because even the artificial gravity of his own ship was now too much for his shattered body. Turned out he had made the catastrophically stupid decision to personally oversee one of the rescue operations, had taken a shuttle down to the surface, had spent exactly 7 minutes on Earth before his skeleton started to fail. 7 minutes. That was all it took to end his career and cripple him for life. "High Command," he began, his voice hoarse from pain medication and shame. "This is Commander Vexthor of the Crimson Talon, submitting formal report on the failed invasion of planet Earth, Sol System. Timestamp 1427, Galactic Standard. What I am about to tell you will sound impossible. I wish it were." He paused, gathering strength. Every word hurt, breathing hurt, existing hurt. "Earth is a Class 12 death world. I repeat, Class 12. The highest danger classification in our records. The planet's gravitational force is 2.88 times our standard. Not 2.88 times our comfort zone. 2.88 times what our species can survive. We did not invade Earth. We committed suicide on its surface." On the view screen embedded in his medical frame, He could see the faces of the High Command Council, 7 of the most powerful Calthrine in the Empire, and every single one of them looked horrified. Total casualties, Vextor continued. 4,997 soldiers with critical injuries, 3 dead during surface operations, 42 more died during extraction despite human medical assistance. Current fatality projections suggest we will lose another 200 within the next cycle. Those who survive will never serve in combat again. Their bodies are too damaged. I am included in that number. He stopped, fighting back the emotion that threatened to crack his voice completely. The humans did not kill our soldiers. We need to be absolutely clear about that. The humans did not fire a single weapon. They did not deploy any defensive systems. They did not even know we were coming. Earth killed our soldiers. The planet itself. Just by existing. Just by having the gravitational force it naturally possesses. Admiral Kethran, head of the High Command, leaned forward. Commander, explain to us how the native species survives if the conditions are as lethal as you describe. Because they are not natives, Admiral. They are products. They did not choose to live on Earth. They evolved there. Every aspect of their biology is designed for that gravity. Their bones are dense. Their muscles are powerful. Their cardiovascular systems are built to pump blood against crushing force. What kills us in minutes is normal for them. They are born in it. They play in it as children. They live their entire lives in conditions that would hospitalize our Olympic athletes. Vextor pulled up the footage. The High Command watched in silence as humans jogged across the landing zone, as Sergeants Flynn carried Calthrine warriors like they weighed nothing, as Captain Torres moved with easy confidence through a gravity field that had destroyed an invasion force. Watch them, Vextor whispered. Just watch. Every movement they make requires strength that would make them champions on our world. But for them, this is baseline. This is normal. A human child playing is stronger than our trained soldiers. Not because they train harder, not because they have better equipment, because their planet made them that way. Earth is a forge, Admiral, and humans are what it produces. The Council watched the footage for a full 3 minutes without speaking. Finally, Admiral Kethran cleared her throat. What is your recommendation, Commander? Mark Earth as forbidden territory. Highest warning level. No Calthrine ship is to approach within 1 light-year of that system. Ever. Not for conquest. Not for trade. Not for research. That planet is incompatible with our existence at the most fundamental level, and the beings who live there, the humans, they are kind. They rescued our soldiers even after we came to invade them. But Admiral, they are also the most dangerous species I have ever encountered. Not because they are violent, because they are absurdly, impossibly, horrifyingly strong and they do not even realize it. Surely that is an exaggeration, one of the other council members said. One of them fractured a soldier's clavicle by patting him gently on the shoulder. Another picked up 3 of our warriors simultaneously, 1 under each arm and 1 over her shoulder, and carried them 50 meters without visible strain. These are not exaggerations, Counselor. These are observations. Documented observations. The Council exchanged glances. Admiral Kethran nodded slowly. Your recommendation is noted and accepted, Commander. Earth will be marked as Class 12, Forbidden Territory. We will disseminate this information to all allied and neutral species in our network. No one else should make our mistake. Thank you, Admiral. Vextal felt something loosen in his chest. At least some good would come from this disaster. One more thing, if I may. Speak. The humans sent a message. Once they understood what happened to us, once they figured out that their gravity was the problem, they transmitted in multiple languages. Our linguistics team has been working on translation. The message essentially says they mean us no harm. They are sorry for our losses. They recognize this was a tragic misunderstanding, and they are willing to engage in peaceful communication if we wish, as long as it happens in space, not on their surface. Vextor laughed, then immediately regretted it as pain shot through his ribcage. They apologized to us, Admiral. We came to conquer them. And they apologized, because that is the kind of species that can afford to be gentle. When you are that powerful, when your entire existence is lived at a level of strength that breaks other species, you can afford kindness. You can afford mercy. What happened to Earth's threat assessment? Another counselor asked. Why was it not flagged during initial surveys? Our long-range probes measured the gravity accurately. Vextovor admitted. The data was in the reports. I saw it. I dismissed it. I thought our soldiers could adapt. I thought equipment and training would be enough. I was wrong. Catastrophically, unforgivably wrong. The responsibility for this disaster is entirely mine. Admiral Kithran studied him for a long moment. Commander Vextower, you are hereby relieved of command. Effective immediately, you will be reassigned to the Cartography Division upon your recovery, where you will personally oversee the Death World Classification Project. Make sure no other commander makes your mistake. It was a demotion, a massive one, but it was not a court-martial. It was not a firing squad. Given the circumstances, it was mercy. Yes, Admiral. Thank you, Admiral. The transmission ended. Vextor lay in his medical frame staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of his ship preparing for departure. The Crimson Talon and the rest of the fleet would limp back to Calthrine space, carrying the broken bodies of soldiers who had learned the hardest lesson in the galaxy. Some planets do not need defending. Some planets are inherently, fundamentally, absolutely hostile to life that did not evolve there. And Earth was the most hostile of all. Not because it tried to kill you, because it did not need to try. It just existed. And that was enough. Somewhere far below, on the surface of that beautiful, terrible blue world, humans were going about their day, walking, running, playing, living their lives in the crushing grip of a gravity well that had defeated the Calthrine Empire without effort, and they had no idea at all how terrifying they truly were. Vextor closed all four of his eyes and let the pain medication pull him under. He had seen enough, more than enough. Earth would haunt him for the rest of his life. And honestly, it should. It absolutely should.